Out of the Blue, proudly brought to you by San Remo. Another surprise!
Out of the blue.
You want that with fries?
Out of the blue. Come with me across the sea. On another view. We're gonna cook for you.
Nothing but blue skies.
Out of the blue.
You want some chili with those fries?
Out of the blue.
G'day and welcome to Out of the Blue. On today's episode, we're in the Barossa Valley, about an hour out of Adelaide. On today's show, we catch up with Warren Randall, the custodian of the magnificent Seppeltsfield winery. We cook up a fish curry.
If you're going to use the belly flap, put it in last.
And Adam makes a pasta with sausage meatballs.
I want you to roll them into a little 10-cent piece.
But first, I want to tell you a bit about the history of the Barossa. In 1839, Colonel William Light, the Surveyor General of South Australia, sold off huge tracts of land right here in the Barossa Valley. George Fife Angus went to London to promote colonisation, and while he was there, he met Pastor Cavell, who was looking for places for persecuted Lutherans to immigrate. Angus persuaded Cavell that South Australia was a suitable place, and the first German settlers arrived in around 1839. Joseph Seppel was in the second wave of immigrants and arrived in 1849 and originally started growing tobacco. When the crop failed, he turned to wine, and the rest, as they say, is history. G'day, Warren, how you going?
Hey, Michael, how are you?
Nice to catch up again here at beautiful Seppeltsfield on this glorious day, I might add.
It is. Magnificent day.
I've always wondered, where did you actually start your career in the wine industry?
University, probably. Agricultural science at Adelaide Uni, followed by wine science at Wagga Wagga, and then straight into the industry with Wins as a cellar hand. Then worked my way up from assistant winemaker to winemaker to senior winemaker to chief winemaker.
That would have been quite a different career choice for a young person, I would have thought.
Was. Look, ag science in the 70s was pretty quiet, and we were advised early by the departments there weren't jobs for ag science graduates. So the dean of the faculty, then Professor DJ Nicholas, said to me, "You're a bright young boy, what about the wine industry?" I ended up doing horticulture and ag biochemistry as my majors at ag science degree. And I think, you know, there is a viticulture degree and a winemaking degree, and there's a bit of crossover, but you really need to understand viticulture before you can be a great winemaker.
Have you been often asked who's the most important person?
I don't ask, I'm told. I'm told by the viticulturists that it's them, and I'm told by the winemakers that it's if it's not for their deft touch and creativity and artistry, that they'd never make a good wine. But look, my opinion, 80% is from the vineyard. I think 15% from the winemaker and 5% luck.
Luck has nothing to do with our recipe. Hello, maneuver! Coming up after the break, it's all pure skill.
Mickey, welcome back to the Barossa.
Oh, don't you love coming back to Seppeltsfield? It really is. It's homely, isn't it?
It is, just to see Wazza, the Warren, the custodian of Seppeltsfield.
And it is a world icon. It seriously is. And if you haven't been to Seppeltsfield more than the last, say, 11 years, because that's how long they've had it to revamp it and rebuild it up, it's amazing. Now, Michael.
Mickey, we are going to do a fish curry.
I love fish curry.
Do you? And look, the recipe now has inclusive chilies.
You know, we as a generation of food people, I suppose, in the last, 20 or 30 years, think chilies are a brand new discovery. But, they were around 6,000 years ago.
Well, it's a long time.
6,000.
As long as there's Baducci olive oil.
Okay, so you got that. Now, you can use coconut oil.
Yes,
this one.
that's it, because it's a curry, couldn't you? But we've got coconut milk and coconut cream, and I love the cream. I love the...
It is nice. Now, in here, I did this for you earlier. I've mixed up some onion, just one brown onion, and a little bit of ginger, some garlic, and some chilli.
Chilli, okay. I've got a tomato called the... You call the name.
Go on, away you go.
Hello,
Heirloom. Now, what heirloom means is that they're tomatoes that have been grown from seed. They're not sort of hybrid tomatoes where they've been crossed. The heirloom tomato is an old variety that the seed has been passed down from generation to generation.
I just looked at what you've diced up. Look how meaty they are. Really meaty.
Nothing
really.
but the best.
No, Mickey, that's about ready. So could you please add your curry powder?
Now
And
we've got some turmeric or turmeric or something.
Turmeric.
Because that's very good for you. It's a health herb for sure. Right, so you just have to go through.
So I just got distracted as an audience. It's the Greeks, I know. They can't help themselves. Say hello. You got to say out of the blue. How shy they all are.
Now, one important ingredient is, of course, the curry leaves.
Fantastic. And so what are you going to add next, Mickey?
We put the tomatoes in.
This is the heirloom tomatoes. Look at that. Mickey, how meaty are those?
Fantastic.
Eh?
Look at that, that's looking good.
That looks looking really good.
So you just got to put the lid on and away we go there. That's a jolly shot. Now, Michael, can you hear in the background that magpie?
Oh, it's a kookaburra.
It's a
No, it's a magpie.
beautiful.
Oh, that curry.
And?
Coconut cream, which is thick.
Yeah.
Look, hello.
Oh, isn't he beautiful?
Hello. Do you want to come
Hello,
closer?
what would you like?
Bit of fish. Well, I reckon, why don't we put in the fish, put the lid on, and only going to put in the thick pieces of fish.
All right, now, Michael, tell us a bit quickly about the fish.
Ling is a deep-sea trawled fish. When you buy it, it's skinless, it's boneless, no scales, lovely chunks. Ideal for a curry. If you're going to use the belly flap, put it in last.
Now, when all that's cooked, after that we add the coriander
Yeah.
and a little squeeze of fresh, beautiful Australian lime.
I would serve this with just plain steamed rice, or you can do jasmine rice, or you can do ginger. You know how you do ginger rice? Slices of ginger. When you steam the rice, it becomes ginger rice. Hello.
That could be Greek.
Well, maybe.
There we are, our fantastic fish curry.
What about the highs of that wonderful career as a winemaker?
Yeah, probably sparkling wine. You know, we were allowed to call it champagne in the 80s. No longer, of course. We're now bottle fermented sparkling wine. But at Great Western, so I was then called champagne maker of B. Seppelt & Sons at Great Western in Western Victoria. I was there for 8 years, and that's really where I cut my teeth and created my reputation as a winemaker in sparkling wines, in bottle fermented sparkling wines. And over a 5-year period, we won 28 trophies out of 32 available trophies. So we dominated the show scene.
Do you often sort of just sit back and marvel at the founders and why they settled on this patch of land?
The soils on the western side, this side of the Barossa, are some of the oldest viticultural soils in the world. So they're naturally infertile, they naturally control the vigour of the vine, and therefore naturally control quality. As tobacco growers, the Seppelt family knew a species in a soil with a climate and a rainfall, what grows naturally.
Can you imagine coming out here today, just all paddocks, and saying, well, oh, this looks pretty good. We're going to set up the world's biggest winery.
That's right.
That's what they did, didn't they?
They did. It's staggering. And of course, from 1851 to 1865, they had a mixed farm. This wasn't just a vineyard and a winery. So it was dairy cows, it was beef cattle, it was chickens, it was pork, it was all the cereals. And they started planting tobacco as well as they had in Silesia, in Woltersdorf.
After the break, Adam joins us here at Seppeltsfield to whip up a pasta meatball dish that's ready in no time. Now, Adam, what are we going to cook today in this beautiful surroundings of Seppeltsfield?
Michael, you know what? This reminds me of being in Tuscany. Maybe, you know, one of those trips that you and me did together. All right, we're at that moment. Anyway, listen, we're going to make a wonderful San Remo. We're using the rigatoni, and we're going to make spicy pork meatballs in 10 minutes.
Meatballs?
Yeah. You
But
know
I can
what?
see sausages there.
These are beautiful cacciatore with fennel, chili, and fresh parsley, but we're going to remove the skin, all right? Okay. Take that out, squeeze out all that wonderful meat. Now, you got to get your hands dirty here, Mick, so don't just think.
That, yeah.
I want you to roll them into little 10-cent piece.
10 cent.
Yeah, 10-cent piece, yeah, just little ones.
Is that nice?
Oh, yeah, no, that's good, I'm
that
happy with
right?
it, yeah. So, a bit of olive oil into the pan,
I knew
like
I'd
always.
miss my calling.
Now, Bit of butter.
Yep.
Our chili, we'll take that. Chili in. I'm just splitting it into the pan. We're going to infuse
Are
that
they
bit
hot
of heat.
chilies or what?
They are. They're from my garden. Eh?
Really?
Back home.
Are
you
you
know?
in the gardening, are you?
Oh, you know, I dabble. I'm not like a professional like you, Mick. I would call myself more of a novice.
Next, you'll tell me you grow basil.
I do grow basil. That's from my garden. Get it?
No, really.
So I'm just infusing the olive oil and the butter with the chili, Michael. All right.
Would you call this a one-pot wonder?
Oh, yeah. Well, look, what I've done is I pre-cooked my rigatoni
Yes, I
in
noticed
salted boiling water for
Yep.
about 13 minutes, okay? And then just literally strained it off and just allowed it to cool down and just add a splash of olive oil, stop the pasta from
How
sticking.
many meatballs you want, big
All
fella?
right, get them in. Oh, that's plenty.
really?
Well, it's you and me.
Huh?
Okay.
Look at that.
So
one
now-
more.
Oh, you got one more?
Yep, there.
All right. Now, what I like to do too, and I don't always do this, Michael, is throw in a little bit of basil.
Look I can smell that. That's beautiful.
So I'm getting the heat nice and
Yep.
high now, right? So what I'm going to do is basically seal in all that wonderful flavour of the
Yes.
pork and the
Yep.
flavouring, okay? So caramelising in there, like so. Now, we need a glass of vino, Mick. We need a glass of vino just to deglaze the pan. But, oh, this is too good. This Vermentino. You want to open that? My
I
hand's a
certainly
little
will.
bit oily,
They
fatty,
are.
I should say. A splash of Vermentino.
Could you use red wine if you wish?
You can. No problems whatsoever. I don't want to... Good drop. Now, you need to allow that to reduce by half, so we
Yes.
cook out the alcohol.
Yep.
Then we're going to place in our tomato passata into the pan, bring it up to boil for around 8 minutes.
Yep, and that's it.
And we're going to start mangiare.
Mangiare.
Michael,
You do
while
it
we're
well.
waiting for our meatballs to
Why
cook.
wouldn't we? Good to
Absolutely.
work with you again, eh?
it's pleasure,
Fantastic.
pleasure,
That's very good.
Let's have a look at
Oh,
those
look
little
at
meatballs. Wow. In with our pasta, like so. Now,
Oh,
Michael,
look
you
at
might want to
that.
stand back.
I will. What about the shirt?
Oh, how about this shirt? That's what long arms are for. Oh, there we go, that beauty. All right, now, that bit of butter, fresh basil to finish.
Fresh basil.
Oh, not a whole tree, Adam. You know my magic. I love this one. I like a little bit in the pan. It's
Yes.
like seasoning, yeah? You've seen I haven't added any salt.
No, I always get so nervous doing that, but you do it. Look at that.
I love it, mate. I love it.
Oh, look at that.
Got to be a bit fancy.
Yes.
It's wonderful setting here in Seppeltsfield.
I know.
Beautiful Vermentino. Salsiccia, meatballs.
that.
Beautiful San Remo rigatoni.
Now, Nigel, I've brought you a wonderful dish that Adam knocked up. It's got these incredible Italian meatballs, and that flavour goes through the whole pasta dish. I'd like you to try it, but more importantly, such a beautiful dish like this, what wine would you recommend?
I think I would go for a Nera Diavola, our 2020, a little cheeky Sicilian variety which we planted because Warren suggested that we should plant just that variety back in 2012.
Okay, well, here we go with that beautiful tomato.
The zest
No,
of the
that's
tomato.
a delightful one. It's not too heavy, is it?
It's very sessionable. It's
Cheers.
varietal driven. It's not oaked.
And it's just been released, I understand.
Yes, yeah. It's won a few awards for alternative wine shows.
Fabulous, yeah.
Well received. It really suits the Barossa conditions well, so it's very drought tolerant.
Its name again?
Nera Diavola,
2020. Cheers.
affectionately known as Nero. So
Nero's.
thank you.
Nero's wine.
Thank you, Warren, for planting this
Nero
back in the
wine.
day.
Warren, the palms that line the roadway that go past Seppeltsfield, what's the story behind those plantings?
Phoenix canariensis, or the Canary Island palm. The Canary Islands on the northwestern side of Africa are actually part of Spain, and Spain makes sherry, and the Canary Islands make sherry, and Seppeltsfield was making sherry back in the 19th century. So Benno and his wife went off and visited the Canary Islands and Spain to study sherry production. And while they were there, they fell in love with the Canary Island palm. Unbelievably, these two trees here are Mama and Papa.
So they came by sea
Yes.
from the Canary Islands.
They did. They were planted there by Sophie Seppel.
How did the roadway plantings, what's the story there?
So the Great Depression following World War I, there were about 220 employees at Seppeltsfield, and basically there was not enough work to keep those people employed. The Seppelt family decreed that they would not sack anyone. Very different world today, isn't it? They kept every family. And at the end of that, they were so grateful to the Seppelt family that the employees decided to plant an avenue from Marananga to Seppeltsfield. And that avenue they called the Avenue of Hopes and Dreams, following the Great War of World War I and the Great Depression that followed after the war.
Don't go away. After the break, we sample a flight of coffee. With the gravity flow system you've got here, dates back to 1888, can you taste the difference in the wine as opposed to modern day press?
Yeah, definitely. It is minimal handling, so you're not pumping, you're allowing gravity to move liquid. So we really want minimal intervention from us, from humans. We want to take high quality fruit. 2 tonne per acre in our vineyards, we come into an 8 tonne fermenter. So there's 4 acres of vineyard that it takes to fill one of those 8 tonne fermenters. And it's in that gravity flow winery for up to 2 weeks on skins.
Have any of the Seppel descendants come back to see what you've done?
I'm very happy to say the answer is a lot of them. They're so welcome back at Seppeltsfield. To me, it's their place. It was their place for 5 generations. I've been here 11 years. 11 years, that's all. It's nearly 170 years old. 10 in 170 is not a great period of time. I know all we're trying to do as a group here now is guide her to 1 or 2 of the most successful decades she's ever had. She deserves it. She really does.
Thank you for our chat. It's been most interesting, and I think, thank goodness, someone like yourself has got control of a historic property such as Seppeltsfield, and it's under good stewardship. And I think I heard you say once, I'm just passing through, but I'll look after it as best I can.
A custodian.
So Warren, yeah, custodian. Warren, thanks for your time.
Pleasure.
Oh, slips. The latest experience here at Seppeltsfield is with James at Octeine, and it's tasting a flight of coffee. Where did you get the idea from?
In the Barossa Valley, you have wine flights everywhere, pretty much. So this is sort of like the Octeine take on the Barossa Valley, where you sort of work your way through different types of wine. So we have different types of coffee here. And so it's a single origin blend. We're using Colombian blend at the moment. It's just that way of diversifying the same coffee, but in being able to enjoy it 3 ways.
And how do we start?
Yeah, how do we start?
I would personally start probably with the cold drip.
Cold drip?
Okay.
And then go to the espresso, and then finish off with the milk soda piccolo.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All good.
What have you experienced?
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cold, that's icy cold.
I wish to have that in Italy, Mickey, with €1 or €2.
Seppeltsfield. Sadly, it's the end of our little program up here, Michael. We love coming up to Seppeltsfield. It's about our third program we've had from up here.
Well, it's the wine tasting that draws us back.
It's the wine tasting.
And to the Wazza, the Warren. Cheers to you, Warren. You're the great custodian of Seppeltsfield.
Cheers. See you next
Cheers.
time.
This is the winery dog. She is actually on the front cover of Wine Dogs Australia. Here she is, Toby Randall. That's your gorgeous.
It's the Warren Randall. Gentlemen. Well, he called us gentlemen. Was it? Do you want us? Maybe we might stop that one.
Oh, no.
Out of the Blue, proudly brought to you by San Remo.